Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Howard Pinsky, Senior XD Evangelist here at Adobe, joined by the one and only Rachel Smith. How are you, Rachel?
Hey, good, Howard. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to be back hosting Adobe Live, sitting down with you. I'm sure you have some really cool stuff that you're planning for the next 2 days.
Yeah, I'm super excited to build design systems with you, to kind of walk you through all that I know. And yeah, we're going to have a blast. We're going to build some things, make a resources page, hopefully get to a newsletter and look at some awesome portfolios. I'm really excited to be here.
Nice, I love that. Before we dive into things, I want to say a big hello, good morning, afternoon, or evening to everyone joining us on Behance. If you are tuning in live, let us know who you are and where you're tuning in from. And if you are watching on YouTube, head on over to behance.net/Adobe Live so we can see all your magical faces and you can chat along with us. And more importantly, ask Rachel questions about whatever is on your mind. So we've got Julia and Sam, Melissa and Liam. If I mispronounce anyone's name, I do apologize. Ernesto and Jack and M. Hammy. Welcome, everyone. Jose, great to see all of you in the chat.
Welcome,
all right, so
everyone.
I'm going to hop over and to Rachel's screen, and you can go over all the things about you. And we do have a portfolio review in about an hour and a half, so about half an hour, that's the word. Half an hour before the stream ends, we're going to take a look at 2 portfolios. So definitely head into the portfolio review tab at the top right-hand corner of Behance, and we will take a look at some of them shortly.
Cool. Sounds good. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. I want to give you a little introduction of myself. So let me go ahead and press play here. Hey there, I'm Rachel. I'm a Latina senior UX designer currently at Nordstrom Rack, and I'm also the founder of 2 global organizations responding to COVID design problems.
Nice.
Yeah, so if you're interested about me, we're going to get to know each other a lot in the next 2 days, but you can go to my website to learn more about me, rachelsmithdesign.com, or you can find me on Twitter, @rachelsmith. Really quickly, I love making things, so I would call myself a serial hobbyist. I like to cook. I once took a neon class sign. This is my neon sign that I made over the course of 8 weeks. Yeah, it was really fun. If you are in the LA area and you want to know where to take a neon sign class, I can definitely tell you. My husband and I also made a farm table this summer, so we got into a bit of woodworking. So I love just discovering new things, making things in general.
That's fun. I can hardly build IKEA furniture, so I wouldn't even know where to start with making a farm table.
You know what? Yeah, there is a lot of patience involved and
I can
trial
imagine.
and error, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a video that I took of us doing it. I totally forgot I added this. But yeah, it was like super hot that day. We had the umbrella up, but now we have like really nice dinners outside. So even though I was very impatient towards the end, it was all worth it. So stick to it if you're interested in woodworking.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see. I like going to record stores in new cities. So I love music. I love collecting records. I was in Japan in November and I found this record in Harajuku. It was like an old 80s anime record. I didn't even know like what it looked like or what it sounded like. I literally just bought it because of the cover. I just thought it was so cool. And when I listened to it, it was basically like Lucky Charms meets like Sailor Moon. It was just so magical. I loved it. It's one of my favorites. So
I'm so jealous. I was supposed to go to Japan this year for work, and
bummer.
Obviously things have taken a turn. So hopefully next year we'll see how things go.
Next year, if you need recommendations, I'm sure. Japan's just like a beautiful country and it's so fun. But just like to be a designer and being there, like everything's just so it's different. But
I know. I can't wait. The culture's just so amazing over there.
Oh, totally. But yeah, so one of my favorite things to do, record stores, new cities. If anyone has their favorite record store in a new city anywhere, please let me know. I want to hear about it. I love making e-friends. I love building communities.
AOL, that brings me back. Did you ever use ICQ?
No,
Okay.
I didn't use ICQ, but my best friend growing up did, and I just remember hearing that all the time.
That's where I started.
Yeah, ICQ talking. I was on like Yahoo Chat back in the day, AOL. I mean, I've always just loved making friends online. And this is segueing into something, I promise. I like building communities online, which is why I wanted to talk about my community, which is called Design to Combat COVID-19. And that's what we're going to be building a design system for today. So basically, when I think it was beginning of March, when the states really started hearing about COVID, we heard about it in Italy, China, obviously, and it was just becoming more and more prominent. I just remember saying, like, we have so many networks in the design community. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to come together to help. So that's what I did. I bought a domain. I started a Slack. I chatted on Twitter, and I think as of today, we have over 1,000 different volunteers in our community. And basically what we do is we solve for COVID-related problems. So we've been able to deliver over 100,000 masks worldwide. We have created infographics for hospitals, posters. We've just created a network of this incredible community to help solve for COVID-related issues using design thinking and just thinking like, hey, you know, what can we do to solve for things, and having people to come together. It's been really cool. That's amazing. And we do have someone in the chat asking, is there a link to join? Do you have a link people can go to, or the Twitter account, or? Yeah. So you can go to designToCombatCovid19.com, and there's a button. If you want to volunteer, you can volunteer there. Or if you need assistance, you can also submit a form, and our design community can help you. I believe it's Combat COVID-19 on Twitter. So yeah, check us out, and please join. Nice. We would love to have you. But yeah, this is like some of the masks that we were able to send out, which is really cool. There was an organization that formed from DCC 19 is what I like to call it. They're called Masks for Docs, and they just like flourish. They have like 100 chapters worldwide, but they started in Design to Combat COVID-19. Like I mentioned, we've also created hospital posters. Here's like some success stories that we've done. We've created a website called COVID Heroes to remember, you know, the people who have helped within highlighting the heroes among, you know, COVID. If you've been recently laid off, if you need mentorship, if you want portfolio guidance, our community is there to help you. And here's a really cool video of that community I told you about, Masks for Docs, that is dropping off some masks over at UCLA. I love that. Yeah, it was really cool. We had like, I think a Vice article come out because the motorcyclists really took onto this. So we were just having these swarms of motorcyclists just like going through NYC at 1 a.m, dropping off masks. It had this really cool like underground feel to it. It was pretty neat. That's really cool. Yeah. And so important these days. Oh, totally. But yeah, so today we're going to be building a design system for this group, Design to Combat COVID-19. I'm going to show you how to put that system into action. And yeah, you know, as I kind of mentioned, I launched it overnight and it kind of just like went running. So I never took the time to really give it a brand voice. I don't even think I have an actual logo. So hopefully we can explore a bit of that today in the design style guide. And I'm going to lean on every one of you to kind of help me build this the way that we want it. So yeah, and that happens so often. You come up with an idea, especially if it's a timely idea for something like COVID, and you just kind of scramble to put something together. Maybe you'll do some sketches, maybe you'll create a basic logo, but really there's nothing behind the scenes that's going to help you in the long run. So it's always nice to come back to those projects a little bit later on. It's never too late. So, you know, I'm excited to see what you put together for this design system. I do see Pablo Stanley's illustrations in there. He's a great guy. I was going to chat about that. Yes. Pablo Stanley, super cool. I am a UX designer. I'm a graphic designer. I wouldn't call myself an illustrator. Like, I would like to pay people for those skills. If you're an amazing illustrator, I lean on you. And he created this awesome website called openpeeps.com. I believe he also has he helped to found the community Latinx Who Design, which is, I believe, how y'all found me. But actually, I can give you a quick walkthrough. So let's see here. So Open Peeps, let's see. Yeah, and I think he just started another company. I think it's Blush app, I believe it is. Oh, cool. I think it's on his Twitter profile. I'm excited to see where that goes, because again, he's a fantastic guy, fantastic illustrator. Oh yeah. he's incredible in the design community. He created the site openpeeps.com. You can pay what you think is fair. Obviously, you know, DCC 19 paid for these open peeps, but basically what it is, it's various illustrations that you can mix and match. I just loved how inclusive it was, how you can just use any one of these characters to fit your needs. So you could have glasses, a beard, you know, whatever you want. I just thought it fit so well with DCC 19, designed to combat COVID-19. But definitely check it out. You can download PNGs. You can see if they're standing, sitting. You download the file. I believe you can use it in XD as well. And you could match and swap out, like if you want them crossing your arms or sitting down or standing up, like literally anything you need. This has been a great resource for us.
Yeah, that's incredible. And yeah, it looks like there's PNGs and also SVGs. Yep. SVGs come into XD just fine, all vector, which is fantastic. So yeah. Check
it out. This is a really great resource. But yes, we use
I love the alien in the middle
for this. Yeah, it's so cool. Awesome. Let's see. So the one thing I like to think about when coming, so I have a small design agency, and when they ask me to create style guides for them, the first thing I want to make sure is that we're really encapsulating the brand voice, or just kind of saying, like in a pitch sentence, like, who are you? What story are you trying to tell? What is the story behind, you know, your brand or your voice or your product, whatever it is. And so that's where I want to start today, is who are we for Design to Combat COVID-19? And let me go ahead and pull over. This is our website, so designtocombatcovid19.com. If you want to get involved, you can click here and join us and sign up as a volunteer. And we actually break out, you know, whether you want to help with graphic design, copywriting. But honestly, I wouldn't even pigeonhole yourself. If you just want to help with anything, we can use it. So if you want to put in effort, we're here for you.
Nice.
But yeah, so here's the website. Right now we say like over 1,500 creatives working to virtually support, but it'd be really nice to just go ahead and shoot over like a quick segment of what really is our team or who we are. So there is this sentence here. It says like, who are we? Virtual community of over 1,500 wants to remotely volunteer their skills. So I'll go ahead and take this. This is something like I'm cheating a little bit. Like I can think through this a bit more, but I think what I'd like to do is go ahead and like shoot this here. So let's see here, a virtual community of over 1,500 who want to remotely volunteer their skills. I'm going to go ahead and make this white, and our font is Futura, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, which is really great. So we have who are we? Let's see here. A virtual community who want to remotely design their skills. We're here to help create innovative solutions to help others support the pandemic. So I think this is like a really nice sentence to kind of just say like, who is DCC 19? And you can definitely fill this out a bit more and say, you know, like what goals you have, or if you wanted to, you know, really say this just easily, you can go ahead and fill this out a bit more.
Yeah, it's always good to start off presentations or style guides or whatever it might be with just a quick one-liner. So if anyone, maybe someone new coming into the project, they get a hold of the style guide, just kind of gets them up to speed if they haven't already done so.
Cool. And then I'll just go ahead and give this a little title. Time to combat COVID-19. Great. And then I could probably fill this out like as I go. Maybe if I get a moment of like, oh, like that would sound really nice, you know, yeah, we can go ahead and fill that out. But kind of branching off of who are we, what I also like to do before I even really get started is kind of create the brand voice as well. So we do know that our volunteer organization is empathetic. We're real, we're conversational, we're basically humans helping other humans, which is like what I do as a UX designer, right? It's like, think like a human. I always laugh. There was like a UX seminar I went to back in the day, and they were like, you know, nothing against engineers. Like I love development. I do some front end coding as well. but they said like, why is the button called submit? Like nobody talks that way, you
Right.
know? So it's like, you have to stop and think like, we're humans talking to other humans. Why are we talking in ways that we wouldn't normally talk about in a conversation?
Yeah, it's interesting because many of these buttons and call to actions, they were created way back in the day.
For sure.
Sometimes by coders, maybe by designers, and it's just things we've been accustomed to. It's like when you're talking about picking up the phone, you do this, right? Or you're what's another example? It's like rolling up the window and you do this action on your car. Like no cars have that anymore.
Yeah, or now where people say hashtag, but before, what was it on the phone? It was like
right,
pound.
It was the pound sign.
But it's like if you're, anyways, I'm aging myself now, but but lots of little nuances like that. But it's important to, really kind of pivot to the now. And if you're a human talking to another human, you want to encapsulate that. So
yeah, we have Paloma in the chat asking, can we volunteer even if we don't have too much experience in design?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So totally, please volunteer. I got some feedback from some folks because some projects did take off and they're running at like 1,000 miles an hour. But we have other projects that are a little bit of a slower burn for those folks who really want to learn. Or I think what's most important being a part of a community like that is just kind of soaking in all of the information and seeing how others work, or maybe just being a sponge and learning how others are, working together. Please. Even if you don't have, years of experience, if you're just even interested in design, please join. We have folks who are able to guide you. Even if you don't want to design, if you want to just provide the user feedback or want to help with copywriting, or just want to even engage in our community and be like, hey, I saw a really cool article I think would be relevant. Just engagement. We would love to have you for sure. Anyone's welcome. Nice.
I love that. More the merrier.
Exactly.
Because this is definitely a problem that is new to many people, and it's something that's completely changed the world, as many of us have realized. We're all working from home. We all have to stay safe, wearing masks, quarantining, and we're all kind of in this together, trying to figure out these brand new problems. So any and all opinions and feedback and voices will definitely help figure this all out.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny because sometimes if you just have those conversations with other people, you get little light bulb moments where you're like, oh, I never thought of that. You get like different perspectives or different doors that open in your mind. You're like, oh yeah, that's really great. Like I didn't even think about that. So it's just wonderful having all walks of life come in to have that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay, so the DCC brand, we're empathetic, real, conversational. Basically, I'm trying to say like the copy should be written in a way that resonates with the reader. And what I wanted to do was build guidance of, if we're going to write sentences on the website or talk about the brand and marketing or whatever, what is it going to sound like? So I have one example here that we could use as guidance. It says, be open. So example, do you need assistance? Let our team of volunteer creatives get you what you need. So I think that would be a really good example. I'm curious if there's anyone in the chat. I have one in my mind. I'm thinking about maybe coming up with 3 other examples that could be a good fit for our community. So I'll give you an example. The next one I'm going to come up with is be empathetic. So I would be really curious to see if anyone in the chat has another idea of, maybe like, I don't know. I want to hear what you guys think. So to help us with the brand voice, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I'd be curious too. And if anyone has suggestions for, many of these projects, what Rachel's working on, or anything in general that you think would help with the whole COVID situation, it doesn't have to be medically related. It could be educational. It could be whatever it might be. Because again, it has to be tackled from all different angles. Throw it in the chat and, volunteer. We already have a few people who are interested in volunteering. So keep that going. Let's figure this all out together.
Exactly. Cool. Let's see. So I have be empathetic here. So I'm wondering what a really good sentence for that would be. Maybe we could say something along the lines of, we are here to help. We're here to help. I'm not a copywriter, so this might take me a minute.
Many designers aren't.
Yeah, it is important sometimes to be able to like get some coffee out there, but sometimes you have those little mental blocks, and I'm definitely having those moments as of late.
Especially when you're streaming and there's all this pressure that people are watching.
Like, come up with it on the spot.
Yeah.
We're here to help. Reach out if you, well, I don't want to put like the pressure of like, you know, like reach out if you need it. I always want to be the first person to kind of extend a hand. So maybe we're here to help.
Right.
Our door is always open.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah. Cool. Sweet. I'm curious, did anyone else come up with a good example of what some a voice brand should be?
Not that in particular, but we do have a few things that have come through the chats. We have Laurent is asking, how did you master typography for different
Typography for different contents. Maybe, I'm not really sure. Let me think. Typography for different content. So I wonder if she means like different types of typography for the brand?
It could be that. It could be also, you know, how do you determine what type to use for a web-based project, maybe mobile? If Laurent, if you're still in here, try to clarify exactly what you mean, and Rachel will get back to you.
Yeah. So I definitely have a section down here that I'm hoping everyone can help me build out for fonts. So I have a primary font, Futura. Oh no, I forgot my Futura book. It's in the other room. I was going to show it off. I do have a book that's completely I think like 2 books that's completely dedicated to this typeface.
Oh my gosh.
It's like one of my favorites. But I was hoping to kind of lean on the group to help me create other fonts as well. So the primary would be Futura, but if we wanted to have a display font, so maybe that one that's a little bit crazier or wackier, and then a secondary font as well if neither of those situations worked. But I think that kind of just depends on what you're using it for. So for your website, you definitely want one that's going to be able to be readable, that can translate well. Usually Google fonts are good for that, just because they will show up on most browsers. But if you want to get maybe a little bit wackier with your marketing, you can have like a really fun display font for your print materials, or a secondary font for something that's a little bit more easily readable. But we can go through this in a little bit. But yeah, I hope that answers your question.
We do have some additional suggestions. So Cornell is saying for some other design challenges, an instructional video on how to wash your hands is a must-have, and also how to properly wear a mask. And I can't tell you how many people I've seen in grocery stores or just walking the streets with masks hanging on their chin not covering their nose. It's incredibly important, because if you want to stay safe, you can't just cover half of your face. You got to cover, nose and down.
Right. I like that though, because you know what that tells me for my brand voice? It should be informational.
Yeah.
So teaching people.
Yeah, and we've got Zubair is saying, quotes, "It's a difficult time, but you can always count on us," which is great for the Be Empathetic section.
Oh, I love that.
And then Melissa is saying, "We hear you. How can we be of help?" It's also kind of welcoming a little bit.
What was it? It's a difficult time. You can always count on us.
Yeah, it's a difficult time, but you can always count on us.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then what was the second one?
The second one was from Melissa, and she says, "We hear you. How can we be of help?"
I love that.
Yeah.
Y'all are so good at this.
Yeah, it really emphasizes that the team is listening.
Perfect. Yep. Totally agree. Okay. And I think you bring up a really good point with the masks. And I mean, obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but our community, we're definitely not doctors. We don't, we can't really give medical advice. Maybe some people in our volunteer group, actually, we do have a few nurses and people in the medical field, but we're not here to provide the medical advice. But if we can lean on the folks that have that expertise, then we can go ahead and use that information to really project it forward. So I think be informational is a really good term for that. So example, how we could, talk about how to properly wear your mask.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder if there's something we can do in Adobe XD to use auto animate to show proper mask wearage or something.
Oh yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah. So Laurent did clarify the question, and he or she said, when you design for a school or a different brand, how do you choose the right font for the audience?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think, really just depends on, it could be subjective. However, I would say that if you're kind of really listening to your brand or your brand voice, it should all be encapsulating and universal. So if you have a bit more of a, if it's a school and it's educational, maybe something like, I don't know, something really whimsical wouldn't fit, but maybe it's a school for, I don't know, maybe it's a school for something fun and whimsical, then you could include that in there. I think it's just kind of thinking about universally what your brand is, and then maybe leaning towards a font that could support that that voice or that image. But yeah, I think it all depends. And sometimes you can kind of break those bounds as well and have a little bit of fun.
Totally. As long as it's not Comic Sans.
Or Papyrus.
Or Papyrus. There you go.
Cool.
We do have Elizabeth in the chat who says the fourth point should be proactive. Like, we move fast and take action to make connections and solve problems. That's a good idea.
That's a great one. Informational, proactive. And what was the sentence?
Yeah, so she says, we move fast and take action to make connections and solve problems.
We move fast and make connections to solve problems.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so we have our brand voice. We are open, we are empathetic, we are informational, and we are proactive.
Nice.
That's great. I love that. That's super helpful and exactly who we are at DCC 19. This is beautiful.
Yeah, okay. I say this all the time. Designers should design in front of a live audience all the time.
Okay, so everyone is going to think I'm crazy, but I don't have a logo. So as I mentioned, illustration isn't my strong suit. So today we're going to go with a typography forward type logo. Basically, I'm just going to type it out. And you guys are going to help me kind of play around with it. And then we'll come up with a few different versions. How does that sound for everyone?
Nice. I love it.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So we know that Futura, we haven't determined our other fonts yet, so we could always kind of go back and play around with this, but we'll start with Futura because that's the font that we have so far.
Yeah, and if anyone, since this is all about volunteering, if anyone wants to take a stab at some fun logo for this project, you can tweet it you can either post a link in the chat, sometimes it works. If it doesn't, you can always tweet it at me at Pinsky and I'll pass it on to Rachel.
Yes.
Or tweet it at Rachel. I don't know if you're going to be looking at Twitter, but I'll definitely be taking a look.
Yeah, that'd be great. If anyone wants to help me design a logo also, we can talk. Design to combat. So, COVID-19. So it's funny, in hindsight, I kind of, not that I wish I picked a different name, but I literally just bought the domain in a night, threw it up on a website in a night, and it's really long. It's a mouthful. So the acronym DCC 19, it works, but unless you know what we're talking about, it kind of doesn't. So design to combat COVID-19.com can be a mouthful, also for a logo. Also, I realized, I think if you email with anyone with a name like COVID in it, if the COVID's in your email, people are marking it as spam. So I came into a lot of roadblocks in general, not realizing when I was trying to set up my first newsletters. And yeah, this has been a big learning experience for me. But who would have known?
That's true. Everything went so. Even though this year feels like it's been 18 years, it's also gone by very quickly with everything happening and shifting so fast.
Yeah, it's gone by so quickly. Okay, so we have design to combat, which is kind of long in itself. So maybe I'll put COVID-19 underneath it. So I'm gonna just go like this and go COVID-19. So I'm just gonna play around with a few different options here. Let's see. Maybe go like that. Let's see, I could stack them, and then maybe I could do a little blue bar or something. I don't know. I'm just playing around right now. But we can do maybe, I don't know, it doesn't really, that looks weird.
Kyle's been dropping some pretty good links in the chat for typography-based websites.
Oh,
so
cool.
if you are interested in that,
definitely,
go check those out. and the psychology behind them. That's fun.
Ooh. I want to see this. Okay, let's see. So we have, what's it? Oh, okay. Taylor Brands, logo maker fonts. Let's take a look.
Type can be definitely a little bit difficult to work with at times, especially if you're designing for a new medium or, if something fun. It's a little bit difficult because you got to figure out like what's readable and
totally.
a nice balance between,
You have to think about what's readable, like if it's really spaced out. You have to consider accessibility. Oh, I love this site. I've never seen this before. So taylorbrands.com, logo makers, types of fonts. So it kind of just breaks it down with like the basics of fonts. So you have serif fonts, which is basically like the little ends on the end. And then sans serif, which is Futura as an example of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that means, it has the blunt edges, nothing whimsical on the ends. Cool. This is an awesome site. Yeah, slab serifs. This is such a cool site. I'm going to definitely check this out. And this is so cool. I love that trend font. Look at that. It reminds me of one of those, like a stamp, like one of those old timey stamps that you would put on like a newspaper or something. Yeah,
you don't get to use those very often, but when you do, you really want to embrace it.
Yeah, for sure. So my first job, actually, I was a print designer. I did billboards and like magazine covers, and we had so many opportunities to do one-off like fun fonts like that as a kind of like an eye catcher font. Mm-hmm. It was good times for sure. Actually, I did some like screen printing and things like that too back in the day, which was a good time.
Yeah, I was also in a similar situation. One of my first, it was more of like a summer job, and we did a lot of printing where I was working, and it was, I don't know if you remember this or if you were affected by it, but there was one summer, I don't remember when it was, maybe like 2005, something around there, where there was a massive blackout across the entire East Coast of the United States and Canada.
Oh my God, I do remember that.
Yeah, and I just happened to be in our dark room at the time.
Oh
and
my God.
Like there was already very little light in there.
That?
I know, and then everything just went down. And no one had any idea what was happening. I was in Toronto at the time, so it was like Toronto all the way down. I forget why it happened, but it was weird because we didn't have any cell service. Nothing was working, and I was stuck there in a dark room that got even darker. And then you walk out, and it's also dark. And it's like, what is happening right now?
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was weird.
Is that where you're originally from, Toronto?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's fun. Yeah. Being in a blackout in a dark room does not sound fun though.
No.
Okay, so I came up with this so far. So I have the Futura in medium, and then I have COVID, which is kind of like a little bit bolder and popping out some more, and then this line underneath. But I like
it. It's very simple.
Yeah, I think for now we'll just go with something like this, but I do want to test out what it would look like with various, like in various sizes, but it's all one color right now. I have these other colors that I created as a base, and I'm hoping the group can kind of help me build more onto these colors. But I'm kind of curious what everyone's thoughts are on making either this portion gray or the line gray. Like, I just want it to pop out a little bit more, and I'm not sure. Maybe something like that could work. Let me see if I can come up with some variants and see what everyone thinks.
Sometimes when I'm coming up with logos or even just full-on mobile or web designs, that whole file just all about explorations. There's like 17 different logos, and it's so ridiculous. It's like one logo looks like the one on the left, and the other one, maybe the kerning is just like spaced out just a little bit. It's like I look at them afterwards, like, what was I doing?
Yep. Yeah.
Then you end up going back to the first one anyway.
Yeah. And this is like exactly what you're saying. I could go on for probably the next 3 hours just trying to determine what this logo is going to be. But just for the sake of time, we're going to have fun together. I'm curious what everyone's thoughts are. So for me personally, I think I might change this purplish color. I don't love it. So I'm hoping the group can kind of help me determine what our base colors are going to be. Mm-hmm. But these to me, they seem a little bit too close. I think I definitely want something like a little bit more contrasty. I'm kind of leaning towards this third one just because, I don't know, for me, health and medical, there's a lot of psychology around colors, right? And color theory. I think I heard the story back in the day that the reasons why McDonald's are yellow and red is so if you were to eat inside, your brain would get like really anxious. You're like, I gotta get out, like red is danger. And so it's just like that fast-paced, fast food type scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard. I don't know how true that is, but I would feel like it's pretty true. And for me, blues kind of, I always see them with like doctors or with health insurance. It's just a bit more calming. So I definitely do want to lean towards some type of blue. And then COVID, obviously, that's not really a word that we love very much, but I don't want it to be like scary or red. So maybe gray can work for that. I'm kind of leaning towards this third one. Has anyone in the group, does anyone think they have any strong opinions either way?
So Ashwin was saying, not sure if this is helpful, but COVID being bold puts more emphasis on that versus design and combat part of it.
Okay, I like that. Okay, so maybe let's play around since I'm kind of feeling these colors right here.
Yeah, and Zubair is saying, ooh, chat's moving fast. There are two shades of blue used in the website, so maybe we can use COVID-19 and the other for the borderline. So you can kind of switch up the blues, I think was what he's saying a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I like
that.
Paloma's liking the third one. Kara's liking the third one. Looks like the third one is the winner so far.
Okay, cool. I'm going to try and play around a bit with the suggestion of making design a bit bigger. I like that because we do want to emphasize, even though, yes, we say that we're a design community, but everyone is welcome. But maybe we can make this one all caps and see what happens here. So design, make that a bit bigger.
And Kate is also saying that red is associated with hunger.
Oh, maybe that's... Oh, so red makes you hungry. I didn't think about that.
It's clever. It's interesting how colors can have such a difference on your mood. And so why you got to be very careful. Like you were talking about red, you don't really want to use it for medical purposes. I was, during an Adobe Live, I think it was a masterclass, an XD masterclass a while back, I designed an entire medical-based application in XD. And I made a very strong point not to use red anywhere in that application. Because if you think about it, red kind of induces anger. And if someone's going to that application seeking help, maybe they're suicidal or they're just feeling depressed or whatever it might be, the last thing they want is to get even more angry because there's a color that, whether you know it or not, definitely induces a little bit more of anger. So you have to be super careful when you're designing things like medical-based applications or whatever it might be. You got to be careful about that stuff.
Yeah, totally. I think it's so important to be able to consider everything, whether it's color or even uppercase versus lowercase, if it's going to be sentence case. You have to consider all the things. Humans are strange creatures. You never realize the things that are going to be affecting you and kind of making you subconsciously make decisions, right? So it's really important to think about those things, to be mindful of it as well.
Yeah, it's amazing how much of the brain we still have no idea about.
Oh my gosh. Don't they say that we know more about the ocean than or is that the universe? Wait, which one is it? Oh no, never mind. There's a saying that it's like we know more about the universe than we do the bottom of the ocean, but I thought there was something about the brain in there too.
There probably is. It's probably pretty true.
Yeah, we still have a lot of exploring to do, but...
Oh yeah.
Don't they say we only use like a certain percentage of our brain?
I've heard that. I've also heard that's probably incorrect, but I know there's like 10% number floating around that we only use 10% of our brain. I heard that's also incorrect, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a large portion that we simply don't use or haven't figured out how to unlock yet.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is why all this stuff with like Elon Musk Neuralink and stuff like that is so wild and bizarre, but it's also kind of exciting.
Totally. Okay, so as you can see, I can go on for days and days and days here, but we're just going to leave this at that. And one thing I want to mention when building a design system, it's okay to not have each individual section completely fleshed out. So we're going to move on to another section. We're going to start kind of defining those those other types that we want to use, those typefaces we want to use. And so if you are building a design system and you're like, I'm just not loving this, you can, if you figure out like, I want to use this other font because it resonates with the brand more, you can definitely come back and tweak. Oh, I just hit my microphone. Sorry about that, everyone. You can come back and tweak. So don't think, everything has to be perfect. Everything's iterative. I like to say my designs are never done. I always like to kind of go back and, like tweak them. Or as a UX designer, whenever I launch a product, I put it out into the wild. As I mentioned earlier, humans change and we shift. So you want to make sure the tool isn't going to work or whatever it is you're building. It might not always work forever. So it's really important to come back and say, okay, is this still working? How can I improve it? I think it's really important as designers to really think about who's using this and kind of shifting it. But anyways, what I'm getting at is it's okay if it's not completely done. You could always go back to it and work on it some more.
Yeah, and on the implementation side, even if it's not completely finished, if you turn your, work in progress logos into components, you can start applying them to all the various screens or whatever it is that you're building. And then if you need to make some changes to the colors or even the entire structure of that logo, you just do it once and it populates everywhere.
Yep, exactly. That's a really good example. So let's say, okay, we like this one for now. So what I'll do is I'm gonna make it into a component. Yay. So I'm actually gonna call this our main logo for now. So if we want to drag this in and bring it later, so now that we've made this component, if we wanted to create a web page, we can just go boop and go ahead and drop it in there, which would be really nice. Boop. Yep, boop. Sound effects.
Got my boop shirt on.
Nice. Oh, there you go. That's perfect. Yeah, so that's a really nice thing that you can use these component elements as well.
Yep.
Also with logos, I did forget to mention, it's important to make sure your logo is going to work really, really big. Like let's say if you are going to use it on a billboard, what does that look like if you're in a car driving miles away? But for the sake of, this is XD where we're doing UX design work, probably just going to be using it on a browser. What does it look like really, really small too? So if you're on a mobile device, is it still going to be readable? These are all the things you're going to want to consider. So I would definitely recommend, coming in and when you list out your logos, make it really big and then really small. And you can also define, we can just do that right now. We can define, let's see, I'm going to move these up here because they're not my favorite. So bring this here, right here. Is there like a way, maybe I don't, can you like grab it all together and make it, let's see here.
Are you trying to make it bigger?
Smaller, but all together as a group.
Oh yeah, you have responsive resize off. Yeah, it should work.
Okay, let's see here.
It's because you have area text enabled. So if you dive into that, go into the main component.
Okay.
And so right click and then edit. There you go.
Cool.
Oh, it's the one on the left. Okay, so hop in there.
Okay.
And just change the individual text layers from area text to point text.
Okay. Let's see here. Point text.
Yeah, just double click into the component so you go to the layers.
Oh, I see. Okay. Cool. Well, it's okay. We'll do this later, but basically what you'll want to do is just make it bigger and then smaller, and then you can do the various sizes, and you can define those sizes as well. So you can always say, if you're going to be using it on this type of screen, you can make that size smaller and smaller. But yeah, that's a good way to do it as well. But I'm going to go ahead and bring those other ones back just so we don't forget about them. But yes, that's a great way that you can go ahead and utilize those logos as well. Cool. I want to move on to fonts with everyone. Does that sound good?
Nice. I love fonts.
Awesome. So as I mentioned, I'm sad because I left my book in the other room. I have an entire book dedicated to Futura. My girlfriend back in the day, she actually bought it for me in Paris. And it was a city I visited now, but then I was like, I've always wanted to go. So when she brought it to me, I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. So it's close to my heart. Also, I really love Wes Anderson films. So he always uses Futura in a lot of his movies. It's really fun. But what I want to talk about is some web-based fonts as well. So something you'll want to consider when you are picking your typeface is making sure that it is browser compatible. So if you're going to be using it on Chrome, if you're going to be using it on Firefox or Internet Explorer, making sure that it renders correctly. A really good place to start if you want to think about fonts is Google Fonts. fonts. Let me go ahead and make this right here. So if we go to Google Fonts, here we go. So you can pull up lots of different fonts here. You can search for a specific font. You can check out the sizes, how big it'll be, how small it'll be. You can define the font properties, whether you want it really thick or slanted. This is a really great place to start.
Mm-hmm. So, and if you are using a lot of Adobe applications, Adobe Fonts is also a great place to go because it syncs between all of them. They also have very similar, filters, and they do have web libraries as well. If you want to make sure, like Rachel was saying, that it is web compatible.
Yep, exactly. Cool. So let's see here. We can choose a display font. So what I'm hoping for here is we have Futura. That's going to be like our primary font. But for the display, if we wanted to do something that was maybe a little bit more showcasey or like a really big like headline that we want to use, like, hey, like check us out. This is going to be that really fun font that we don't use all the time, but we use it every once in a while.
Yeah.
So let's see here. I'm just going to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so we can take a look, and I'm going to scroll through. And I kind of want something.
I know a lot of people in the chat probably know this, but I've been on it was Poppins. I was using Poppins a lot, and then I moved on to Sophia Pro, which is a fantastic typeface. Very simple,
cool.
Very clean. I've also been using, I believe it's Rift for some of my display fonts. And then Babus is one that I just grabbed not too long ago.
Yeah,
I
love
a good
that
one.
font. Is that how you pronounce it, Babus? I've always been calling it like BBs this whole time.
I don't know. I heard someone pronounce it. I think it was Andrew who was streaming before us. I think I found it through him, and I think that's how he pronounced it, but who knows?
I swear I always have those moments. There's a really popular museum in Los Angeles that I've been calling the Broad for literally years until a girlfriend of mine corrected me. She's like, it's actually the Broad. And I'm like, is it really? And so I did one of those like Google like when you go on YouTube or you kind of listen to how the pronunciation is.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I've been wrong all these years, but whatever. Everyone knew what I was talking about, so. Cool. Okay, so I'm looking for something maybe like a little bit thicker, kind of like in your face, just to really make a statement. None of these are like really speaking out to me. However, I did see one, I kind of like Railway. I might already have it on here, but I'm going to go ahead and just choose this one, and I'm going to download the family. So downloaded it, and what I'm going to do is drop that font into my font systems. Okay. Do this and boop. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so I'm basically going to go ahead and take this, list it here, and let's see, did it work? Yay! There it is, Railway. Okay, but I don't want it medium. I want it maybe like extra bold. So
Kyle is suggesting Roboto Bold.
Oh, Roboto Bold.
Yeah, Elizabeth is suggesting Barricada, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, Zubair is saying a lot of developers hate Railway. I wonder why.
Oh no! Let's see here. I don't know. Let's see. So Roboto was the one?
Yeah.
Let's see that. Let's take a look.
That's a pretty good one. I believe it's kind of similar to Futura a little bit. It's kind of condensed.
Oh yeah, I do like that. That's kind of cool. Oh, that's super thick. I love that. The black's really nice. The black 900. Cool. That's a really nice one. Okay. I think I might stick with Railway for now, just so that we can kind of get this ball rolling. But I wonder if there's like something. Maybe. Oh, that's kind of cool. I kind of like it. Oh, it's heavy black.
Oh, that's nice.
Is there a heavy italic? I wonder. Oh, black italic. Okay, I kind of like that. It's a little bit punchy. It's kind of cool. So we're gonna make this all the same. So Railway, and then we're gonna make it black italic. Okay. Oh, that says Futura still though. So let's make sure to fix that. Great. So that's going to be our display font. So anything that's just really, as I mentioned, like punchy or kind of wants to display nice and big, we're going to go ahead and use that. So we have 2 sans serifs right now. I would really love to hear some suggestions for a secondary font. Maybe something serif could work here.
Oh.
As something just to mix it up a bit. I wonder if anyone has suggestions for a nice serif font that they like.
That could be fun. I almost never use serif fonts. I probably should, because in some situations it does work.
Sometimes
but
it does.
I rarely do it.
Yeah, sometimes there's just like a moment where you're like, hey, maybe I want to just utilize something that's a little bit, I don't know, kind of just give it a different vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll work for this, but for the sake of just giving it a bit more, I don't know, diversity, let's just throw in a serif font. I think that would be fun.
Yeah. I don't know if this is serif or not, but Ashwin says Nexa, N-E-X-A, works as a pretty good paragraph font.
Ooh, okay, let's check it out.
But I'm not sure what kind that is. I know I did use a pretty nice serif font. I'm going to open XD. I was designing, I think, an Animal Crossing application. And,
really? I love Animal Crossing.
And, let's see. Do you play?
I do. I do have Nexa on here too. Oh, that's a really nice sans serif. I like that.
That is kind of cool.
Sans serif. Yeah, I just bought. I've never Animal Crossed before, but I got on the hype, the quarantine hype, and I'm having a blast. I have this really cool vampire outfit that I wear all around town.
Oh my gosh, I'm literally wearing a vampire outfit too.
Oh, that's so awesome! Like, I don't even want to take it off. I keep getting these other clothings, and I'm like, you know what? I'm really digging this like vampire look right now. I feel like it's my vibe. And then when summer came around and I caught a great white shark, I was like, what is happening? I love this world. It's amazing.
It's so good. It's like an escape from everything else.
Totally. What's your island called?
Andromeda. I'm a big space geek.
Nice. I'm at Tamagotchi Island.
Okay.
So
I remember Tamagotchis way back in the day.
But I was mad because when I was trying to fill out my name, there was like a max character count. So I was like, dang it. So I went with Tamagotchi. But I'm not mad because it's really cute when they always talk about Tamagotchi Island. So
yeah, nice.
I'm all about it.
So we do have suggestions. We have Elizabeth saying Noto serif.
Oh, Noto serif. Okay, let's see.
And then Kyle is saying Playfair, and Kate is saying Laura.
Ooh, okay. Let's see. Oh, there's the Google Fonts thing. What was the first one?
The first one was, where did it go? Noto, N-O-T-O.
N-O-T-O. Oh, I don't see it here.
Oh, weren't.
Let's see. I wonder if it's like free Noto.
Could be on Adobe
I'm just
Fonts
curious.
too.
Oh no, there it is. Oh, maybe not. Let's see. Beautiful fonts with free Noto sans serif. Huh. Oh, I see. Oh, cool. Let's give this a go.
So many options.
Yeah, so many options. I love it.
Just spent hours looking through typefaces.
Oh, totally.
Or do you ever do the thing where you just have like a ton of typefaces in your library and just click on the text layer and just go down arrow, down arrow, down arrow?
Yeah, that's literally how I only ever do it. But I kind of wanted to get everyone involved and get their opinion. So I was like, I could just scroll through, or we can, see.
Then you go through your whole list of like 500 typefaces and you figured, I don't like any of them. Let's start again.
I know. Or sometimes when you stare at a word for too long, it's like a really simple word like chair, and then you're like,
oh my
that
gosh,
word looks so strange to me. Like, who spells chair? Like, your mind starts going.
Yep.
Cool. Okay.
Back to the humans are weird thing.
Yep, exactly. I like Noto. Let's go with it. So Noto. Serif. Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
Nice.
Awesome. Great suggestion. Okay. So now that we have our fonts, thank you for going down that journey with me and discovering it. I appreciate everyone helping me with that. We are going to go ahead and define our styles. So what I've created here is just like a base of what a heading 1 would look like. And we can also go to our components as well. And I think I already created a character style for this. So anytime you ever want to use a heading 1, we've defined it as 44 pixels. if you want to do a heading 2, I believe this one is 28. An old coworker of mine, she taught me to use increments of 8 in a lot of things that you build. So whether it's like 8 pixel padding or 8, I've just heard 8 all the time. So I try, it's brought me back to doing math. I went to art school, so math wasn't always my strong suit, but then coming back to design, you're like, okay, I actually have to use these things sometimes. So cool. We have heading 1, we've defined this as 44. Heading 2, we're going to do 28. So I'm actually going to go ahead and make this a let's see here. We're going to make this a heading style. Let's see here, character style.
Ayla in the chat is saying she likes using font pairing tools to find good matches. You know, I haven't come across any of those tools. If anyone knows any font pairing tools, it kind of reminds me of like figuring out what wine works best with what food. But I haven't seen any of those, so throw them in the chat. I'd love to check some of them out.
I don't know if I've heard of that either. I'd be really curious to see what comes up in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm defining our heading. So if there's ever a situation where you're building out a page or you are wanting to do like a newsletter or an email, it's really nice that you have these character styles that you can kind of just drag and drop so you don't have to rethink about them or create them every time. This is going to be like your defining headers. So they're all Futura. So we have heading 1, which is 44, heading 2 is 28, heading 3 is going to be 24, and then heading is going to be 20 points. So these are going to be the main ones that we lean on. Of course, you know, if you need other ones, I think usually you do about 8 or so, but we're just going to do 4 today. If you need a one-off, usually you can go ahead and do that. So maybe the next one after this, you would do like 18 pixels or I don't know, but you can define that. So here are our headings. And now we're going to create our body copy styles together. Sorry, I have a Fitbit and I usually turn off the it just came in like yesterday and it's like buzzing on my wrist. I'm like, what's happening? Usually I have the notifications turned off.
Could be something important. You never know.
No, whatever. The buzzing always throws me off. I'm like, there's a bee on me. Okay, body copy style. So we're going to define our large body copy. So here we have 18, and what I thought was really cool that we can use is XD has these really cool plugins. And one that I found was this Lorem Ipsum plugin. So what I'm going to do is create a text box and then drop in this let's see, did I not do it right? Let's see. Node, rectangle node. Let's see if this works. Let's make this smaller.
We got lots of suggestions in the chat for these font pairing websites. Fontjoy.com and also fontpair.co.
Oh, cool. Okay, let's take a look at that. Fontjoy.com.
Yeah, fontjoy.com.
Let's check it out. Font pairing made simple. Generate font combinations with deep learning. Oh, cool.
Ooh.
Click generate to create a new font pairing. Let's check this out. Oh, look at that. So this one's Cinzel and then Ultra, and then you have this one down here. I wonder if you, look at that.
Ooh. Oh, it looks like you can lock them. So if you like a certain header, you can lock that.
Let's see. Oh, that's so cool.
That's neat.
I love this. I wonder if you can...
Oh, wow.
I don't know what I did. If you could like say, I want to use this font and then pair it with other ones.
Yeah,
that would be interesting. So
too.
if we had like Futura that we typed in here and then you generated and you can see the other, that'd be, I'm sure there's something out there that exists, but FontJoy, totally going to add this to my bookmarks. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thanks, Ayla.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for that suggestion. All right, so what I've done is I have used this plugin, Lorem Ipsum here. Our body large is going to be 18. So let's go ahead, and then 18. Great, so this is going to be the largest our body, the largest our body large, this is what we're gonna call this. And so then we'll go ahead and do, let's say, we want body medium. So this is what our medium body copy would look like. And if we have 18, let's go ahead and do 16 and see what that looks like. Okay, that could work. Great. And then what we could also do is come back to here, and then we'll create this character style. So we'll go ahead and go here, and then we're going to say body copy large, 18 pixels. And then this one is going to be body copy medium.
Makes sense.
16 pixels, and we'll do one more. Let's see here. So we'll go here. Let's go ahead and naturally, I think small. We could also do, you know, like extra small, extra large.
Right.
But I think this would be.
You can get really granular with that stuff.
Yep. So we'll do 12 for this one. Or maybe 14. There we go.
Is there anything, thinking about, you know, as you're using assets, colors, character styles, components, is there anything specific that you would like changed in XD or added to XD that doesn't already exist?
Yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Do you mean like for just components in general, or?
Anything related to assets. So if you want to manage your colors better, or character styles, or just all of them in general, if there's anything that comes to mind as you're designing, throw it at me, because I know the team is looking for a lot of feedback in various areas.
Yeah.
So I'd love to pass it along.
Okay, let's see here. So we have large, medium, body copy. We're going to call this small. Great. Okay, so now we have our typography styles. Yay, this is coming together. We have our fonts. Futura is going to be our primary. Our display font is going to be Railway. Secondary font is Nodo. So maybe we have Futura as a header, and then our body copy can be Nodo. And of course, you would want to define. So this is all for, let's see, we'll call this Futura headings. This is all for Futura because that's what we're using. However, you would definitely want to create the heading styles for each of the fonts that you use. And then we'll call this one Futura as well, body copy styles. So then you'll do bodies for each of them, and then you'll do your headings for each of them. But we'll just call this one, we'll just call this the Futura section altogether. Futura typography styles. Great. Okay. This is looking good. I'm loving it so far.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's go ahead and move on to colors. Woohoo!
I love colors.
I know, colors are great. I have the DCC19 color. I think it's a little bit different or a little off from the website. So I may change this color based off of the color on the website based on whatever we create here. But I really am liking this blue right now, which is really nice. Yeah, and then I wanted to have something that was a little bit more contrasty, so I thought a dark blue would be really nice.
Yeah, and what would that dark blue be used for?
Yeah, so that could be used for maybe like a heading, or if there's a section on the site that you kind of just want to break up the content a bit visually, you could definitely use maybe like a light blue top or like a white background, and then you can use this dark blue to really highlight, you know, like a different section. Or if you want to use this blue when we get into our CTAs or our buttons, this dark blue really pops out nicely on lighter type of backgrounds.
Yeah.
So what I've created here is that we have our colors in this section here. I'm definitely going to need help naming these colors. So
naming's always fun.
Yeah.
Although, you know what? Let me check. There was a new plugin that came out today, I believe. And the idea of this plugin, also we have Kyle in the chat posting some hex code, so we maybe want to check those out. But I believe this plugin, also Elizabeth threw it in there as well. This plugin, I believe, I haven't tried it yet because it just came out today, but it's supposed to, I think it's called like color list. I'm going to check in a second. But if you select a bunch of colors, it's supposed to name them for you.
Oh, cool.
If I'm not mistaken.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, let's see here. I want to see these color codes that they're talking about. Okay, so I think Elizabeth posted this
And while you're doing that, I'm going to find the plugin.
Ooh, that's nice. I like this. It's like a, it's like
a nice little
pinkish kind of salmon, maybe like periwinkle type.
Ooh. Yeah, that or a flamingo or something.
Oh, flamingo. I love, actually, so that neon sign picture I showed, you have to get different like gases to fill in the colors. And one of the colors was called a flamingo. And that's when I knew, I was like, that's it.
Nice.
I love it. I wanted like 80s Miami vibes for sure.
Yeah, okay, so that plugin is called Color List.
Color List. Okay, let's see here.
Ooh, there goes my dog.
Is it one word or two?
I think it's one word.
Oh, there it is. Let's check it out.
Brand new. So from what I've seen, I think if you just select a bunch of your colors automatically, just like on the actual artboard, and then just go up to, go into there.
Am I not doing it right? Let's see. Oops, please select at least one property. Okay.
Try checking your assets panel to see if it added anything.
Oh, I don't think. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I guess the other ones were already delete all those other ones and then see what happens.
Oh, these ones?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Okay, and let's try this again.
You can also go to the plugins menu at the top. It's a little bit of a strange workflow, but that's interesting.
It is. Oh, I see. Got it. And then, okay, cool. Yeah, I named them Stravos, Havelock Blue, and Purse. That's
I don't know what any of those mean, but it's kind of cool that it just gave you some names.
They sound like really cool, like early 90s wrestling characters.
Yeah, and what's nice is we just recently introduced design tokens in XD, so those names will kind of carry over to your actual design specs. So your developers will also be confused as what I don't even know what those Stratos thing. I don't know what that is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Let's see. Someone else had a hex code. Kyle had a couple. I wanted to check them out.
Yeah, Kyle had some, and also Elizabeth had one as well.
Ooh, that one's nice. Okay. And then Kyle had two. So that one's Kyle's. I think this one's Elizabeth's. And then let's grab this other hex code. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, those are pretty close.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I think I kind of like this one. All right. So let's make these our secondary colors because I want to finish the primary. So we have this blue, and I definitely need like a white or a gray. So I'm going to go ahead and just make this one. We're going to give it a border just so
yeah, I was going to ask how you deal with that. Do you put borders, shadows? I know it varies from person to person.
Yeah, I like to keep it simple. I just like to throw a border on there. No nonsense. It is what it is. And then, okay, so I think it's, all Fs. So we're just going to put that there. I've been booping a lot today. I just realized ever since you called it out with the shirt, I'm like, I'm a booper. That's all there is to it.
I think you have to make either sound effects or some sort of word whenever you do things in design.
Exactly.
It keeps you sane.
Oh, let's see here. And then I want to also, let's see. I do want a gray, but I don't know if I want that gray. So what I'll do is get rid of that border. And then I think I just want like a little bit of a lighter gray. I just think grays are kind of nice to have as a go-to option. It's something maybe just a little bit, maybe like something neutral. So if you want to call out something that maybe you don't want to bring too much attention to, or you're talking about maybe a little bit of a more sensitive subject matter, I think grays is a really good go-to. But just to make sure we address like accessibility, so making sure that you're able to see it really well. And I actually have an accessibility site where we can run these colors through. But we'll go with this for now.
Yeah, and sometimes also adding a little bit of color to the grays, I find, depending on the situation, helps as well. And I know you're talking about accessibility. The Stark plugin in XD is fantastic.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, they also just came out with a new update, which also includes suggestions. So if your colors are not passing accessibility, it'll let you know what you should be using instead.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, let's check it out. Cool. So that's a great example, because I don't think this gray is accessible, and I'm pretty sure Stark's going to tell me. So let's see. Colorblind. Oh, this is neat.
Yeah, they have some pretty cool stuff in there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you can check the contrast.
Yeah, if you select two different layers. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Very cool.
So it's
this is great.
Pretty accessible.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I have like this whole little slide that I created. It was like, why accessibility? And it's basically talking about, you want to be able to design for everyone, regardless of your disability. And XD actually had this really awesome article. Accessibility is one of those words that it kind of scares people up if they haven't worked with it before. It's like, oh, well, I don't know how to design for it. And at least that's what I've encountered. And honestly, just knowing some really basic things about color or types of fonts that you're using. This article is a great article. It's just a quick introduction to web accessibility. My girlfriend that I used to work with over at Nordstrom, Casey, she came in really strong. She was a huge accessibility advocate. She brought accessibility to our company site. So if any opportunity I get to chat with people about it, it's just knowledge that you should have overall. But yeah, this has a really cool example of basically why contrasts are really important. So you want to make sure that, you don't have a low contrast, like what the difference between low, medium, and high is. And that Stark plugin is a perfect example, because if you're working with a color, you just run that plugin and it tells you whether it's if it passes or not based on the particular guidelines, because there are a lot of people who are colorblind or aren't able, they have to use a screen reader and they're not actually able to use that screen. So these are all things that you want to consider. But this is a really good starting place article just to kind of get your toes wet for anyone that's interested. So
yeah, absolutely. And as I always try to remind people, just because you can see a light gray on a white background doesn't mean a lot of people can.
Exactly.
Like you said, people have color blindness. People have, my father-in-law has a detached retina, which has deteriorated his eyesight quite a bit. So you have to think of all these different people that maybe can't see these light colors or, even bright colors, some of them can't see. So you got to think about these things.
Yeah. And it's funny how we as people are really catering more to personalization, whether it's a subscription box that's just for you, or your shopping habits, how you'll get recommendations. I mean, we shouldn't design websites for all the same type of person. It's right. Obviously, you have to consider everybody. So it's definitely something to think about and be mindful of.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay, so we have some primary colors here, which is great. And then we have those suggestions for secondary colors. I'm loving it. I really want to name a couple of these. I think that'd be really fun. In particular, this color, blue, which is going to be our main DCC 19 color. I know we have it called Havelock Blue here, which is fun. I love that, but I don't know. I think there's something humanizing about getting the group together to kind of give this a name. So yeah. I'll let you all, I'm going to add the hex codes to these colors, and then I'll give the room a second or two to think of some suggestions. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good. So yeah, chat, cool. Throw some color names in the chat based on these light blues, dark blues, purples. I know someone earlier suggested that the purple be called Boop Purple, which I will not argue against.
Yes, I love that. That's so cool.
Cornell is asking, Rachel, are you designing this because you feel it and had an idea how you want to make it, or because it's profitable?
Oh, definitely because how I feel it and how I want to make it. This is a volunteer community, so no funds are being exchanged. We're just doing it because we love to do it. Yep. And we want to involve everyone who wants to be involved. These times are kind of crazy right now. So I've had these moments where I've been working really hard, with the volunteer organization, or getting masks out the door with the other organization, Masks for Dogs, and making deliveries. And there was moments where I'm just like, oh, this is so, I have a day job too. But then I'll have someone message me and be like, hey, I've had a really hard year. Being a part of this community is really giving me purpose, just to see people take in the donations that we're giving, or seeing my designs come to light, you know, it really just gave me a moment of like, wow, you know, if we can just like help each other out, give each other purpose for, you know, the craziness that's happening. I know it's hard right now going on Twitter. It's kind of doomsday all the time. I feel like it's so negative. So being able to bring some positivity in a time that's a little bit uncertain, I think is a really good thing. But yeah, this is all volunteer based. But yeah, hoping to be a nonprofit soon, so maybe we can get some grants or something to like actually hire folks to come on. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, for now, it's me and just a few other people running this thing. So
yeah, you know, speaking of grants, we are running our creative residency program, and this year is, I don't know if you've heard of it, Rachel, but this year is a lot different than in the past. So in the past, we've run this creative residency program every year. And what we typically have done is we interview people who have really interesting project ideas that they want to tackle, from UI and UX to video to photography, various fields. And we would bring on like a handful of people. We would pay them for an entire year with benefits and that sort of thing, basically just to do their project, which is super cool. It's a fantastic program. This year, because of COVID and the remote situation, we did bring on, I believe, 2 creative residents. But what we're also doing is we are putting aside, I believe it's $1 million for this different creative residency program where designers, photographers, videographers can submit their project ideas. Like Rachel, you'd be able to go in and submit your idea to do this COVID thing, this application or design or project, whatever you're working on, and there are grants available anywhere between $500 to $5,000, and it's basically just for you to continue doing this program, or if you want to pay some illustrators or whatever it might be. It's a super cool program, and Sam just posted the link in the chat. We're still accepting applications for grants. So,
yay!
When you're finished, Rachel, definitely check that out, because, if you're looking for a little bit of funds to hire additional illustrators to really make this thing something magical, it's worth a shot.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that suggestion. That's amazing and incredible.
Yeah, and anyone else in the chat, if they have really cool ideas that they've been really itching to do, again, across all those different fields, it's worth a shot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I named purple Boop Purple. I love that. That's super fun. Did anyone have a suggestion? Sanitary blue. Oh my god, that's funny.
Yeah, I've got sanitary blue, air blue, computer blue.
I kind of like sanitary blue. It's kind of, I don't know, it's different. Mm-hmm. Let's go with it. Okay.
Cornell's asking, is this grant program restricted to the USA only? I don't believe it is, actually. I believe it is. I'm gonna double check, but I believe it's across various countries.
Cool. Okay, so we got sanitary blue, Boop Purple. I think like those are awesome starting points for the colors. I'm loving this. I can definitely bring this in to the site. Having this sanitary, I don't know, it just makes me laugh, but I love it because it's like totally like health and kind of gives that vibe. We could bring sanitary blue into like a lot of our headers. I still need a name for this dark blue. I'm curious, does anyone have, let's see, any suggestions? Air blue, computer blue, I kind of like that. We can go with that.
Yeah.
Or just call it computer. Get rid of the blue. Computer, and then we'll call this one just sanitary. Cool. Yeah, this is looking great. Computer. Love it. Okay. Cool. And then we can go through and maybe I'll call this white one. Maybe call it sterile. I kind of like that.
Oh.
If I could spell.
I know, I have no idea to spell it.
Thank God for spell check.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Okay. Sweet. And then gray. Let's see here. Action blue, deep sea blue. Very cool. Okay, I think this is a good starting point. I can come through and fill out a lot of this later. But yeah, cool. And then we have that plugin as well. So I'm gonna, actually, I don't think we ran the accessibility plugin on this main blue, so I'm gonna do that now. Check contrast. Oh no! So if I were to use this blue, which I think is okay for headers, I just have to make sure that if I have a text on it, it's a really large text. If I'm going to have the white on top of the blue, which I think is fine because I'm only planning on using this background blue for like large headers on my website or kind of like the main callouts. I wouldn't necessarily use this for body copy. So I think it's fine, but definitely should be mindful. And what's cool is that if I want to, as you were saying, it has suggestions, I can just go ahead and click on here. And then as you can see with normal text, large text, it would definitely pass. So this is
such a slight difference between that first blue and the second blue. And it really emphasizes why something like this is so important because, you know, at first glance, I would say, yeah, that blue is probably accessible. I can see it very well against the white background. Then you run a plugin like this and it's like throwing X's at your face. Yeah.
And I love that the plugins just like here within the program as well, because usually I would probably go to like an external site and then type it in and go back and forth, but just having it be here and be really easy. Thank you for showing me this. This is great.
Yeah, it's a great plugin.
Cool. Okay.
And the team behind it, Kat Noon, is just so passionate about accessibility. Do you know Kat?
Yeah, she was on our Mass for Docs team.
Oh, there you go.
She helped us with our accessibility. Yeah.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Awesome. And her and her team put together these plugins, and they're across all the different design applications, but they're just great.
Yeah, Kat's awesome. Stark's awesome.
Yep.
Good stuff all around. Okay. Yeah. All right. We've gotten quite a bit through here. Let's see. So we have who we are. We have our brand voice, the logo, which I can probably go through. What I'll do tonight is kind of clean up a lot of these logos based on what we've created today for the colors. We have our fonts, which is really fun. We have our primary font, our secondary font and display. We talked about headers and body. Cool. So what I wanted to go through now was our call to actions or our buttons. So what I'm going to do is pull up our colors really quickly. So we didn't name all of them. I can go through and do that a little bit later, but I know, so let's see, I can drag these up and I'll organize these based on our primary versus secondary. So here are our primary colors. It was sanitary, computer, and then we had white, and then the gray. I think the white we called sterile, right? So we'll call it sterile. There we go. And then we had our secondary colors, loving the boop purple. Just because we talked about, I think you said flamingo earlier. I'm just going to call this flamingo because I love that.
Yep.
Awesome.
We do have about 8 minutes until we take a look at portfolio. So if you have not submitted your portfolio yet, definitely head up to that tab and pop it in there because we will take a look at them shortly.
Cool. Okay. I'm excited to see everyone's portfolios. This is going to be
it's usually a good time.
Awesome. Okay. So what we call, I come from like an e-commerce background, basically meaning if you shop online, I am the designer that usually thinks about what that experience looks like. And one term we throw around a lot, we call them CTAs, which means call to action. So that could either be a button or it could be a link. It's basically anything where you're probably going to click on it and it'll take you somewhere. So for our website, what I wanted to talk about was building out buttons. So what we can do is I kind of took a stab at it already. And I wanted to showcase what a primary button might look like. So we can create a primary button saying like, hey, check out this button. But what's also really important to remember is considering hover states as well.
Right.
So basically, you know, you want to be able to see if you drag your mouse over to know that it's clickable. It'll have a hover state basically. And I actually built out a little prototype. Let's see if it works here. Oh no, was it here? No, it's down here. Here we go. So if I click on button and then, yep, it kind of shifts a little bit. I need to fix that. But basically, if you were to hover over the button, you could see how it changes. So that's really something cool to consider as well. So what we'll do is I'll build out another primary button and then we'll build out some secondary buttons and I'll show you how to make that little prototype to make it work.
Sweet. And it's super easy to build hover effects. If anyone hasn't done that in XD yet, with component states, super simple. And Rachel will probably show that off.
Yeah, cool. So let's see here. Let's say we want to have two primary buttons. So we'll have the one with our sanitary blue. Sanitary. That just makes me laugh saying it.
It
so awesome.
does sound a bit strange.
Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and make the computer blue one as well. And so then we're going to make a second one, but because this is going to be a hover state, we want to make sure the color really indicates hover as well. So maybe something along the lines of this type of color would be kind of cool. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I'm just going to copy these, drag them down here, but I'm going to remove these. Cool. And then I'm going to take this button and then place it right down here. And then I'm going to take this button and place it right down here. And so we have our button pre-hover and button when you are hovering. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into prototype mode, and what I'm going to do is just drag this right over to here, and then I'm going to click on this artboard and drag it right over to here. And so if I were to press play, you can now see what that hover state would look like, which is really cool.
Have you been playing around with component states at all yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so that'll allow you to create like actual hover effects. So you don't need two artboards or anything like that.
Oh, nice. See, I'm learning something as well.
Yeah, it's a fairly new feature. I think it was released at Adobe Max last year.
Oh,
and,
nice.
Yeah, it takes the whole two artboard thing out of the equation. You can all build various states into one single component, which is super nice.
Don't do it the way I'm doing it. I'm doing it the old school way. Do it the new, easy way. I'm a woman set in her ways. I have some learning to do, but that's awesome. I didn't realize that. I need to check that out. Cool. Okay, so we have our primary buttons here. I also want to create a secondary button. So maybe this is an instance where, and by primary, these are going to be like the main buttons you want to click on, like, hey, you know, sign up to be in our organization, or do you have an idea, like submit it here. But maybe a secondary button is, you know, sign up for our email list, like something that maybe isn't so prominent that we might still want to talk about. Right. And I think a really good, let me get out of prototype mode. What a really good example of that might be is, what I like to do is sometimes I like just to invert the color. So what I'll do is I'll make the border, I'll give like the border the color of the inside, and the fill will kind of be white. I think that'll be cool. And then for the text, we can go ahead and make it our sanitary blue. And then maybe we can make the width of the container a little bit bigger, just like that. So yeah, this could be our secondary button. And we have, you know, a little bit of roundness on the button, which I think is kind of nice. You can play around with that if you want them to be like straight edges, or if you want them to be, I like the round. I think it's like a little bit softer, or if you want to have like a drop shadow, you're more than welcome to do that as well. But we're going to go ahead and call this our secondary button. And I'm also going to do this for our computer blue as well.
Nice.
So let's see here. There we go. Cool. Awesome. Very cool. So here are our primary, here are our secondary, and then let's create some links. So basically what we'll do is I'm going to use the tag tool and say, hey, this is a link. And let's see here. We're going to go ahead and give it an underline just so that you know that it's a link and you're able to click on it.
Yeah. Also important for accessibility.
Yeah, for sure. And so you can also, you know, when you're hovering over it, if you want the link to like kind of disappear, that's also a nice touch you can do as well. But sometimes if the color doesn't indicate it enough, you can also throw in the underline to help with that. But let's go ahead and give ourselves a few links. So we could do like this, and then maybe these ones, if we don't hover on them, can be like this. This one could be our computer blue, which I think would be a really nice touch. but I also kind of want to throw in a flamingo. I think would be kind of fun. Just like, I don't know, give it something a little different, why not? Cool. Awesome. And then I created this little dark background here too. So if you wanted to see what the button would look like on the dark background, you can definitely do that. Obviously it wouldn't work here, so you might want to use a secondary, but the fill would have to be white for that to work.
Yeah, because you're talking about earlier is using that dark blue to kind of break up sections.
Exactly.
So it is very important to show how that would look in your design system as well. Especially like looking at this now, those blue links obviously are going to be a little bit difficult to read. So
yeah, they're going to be super difficult to read.
Yeah, that's probably where you want to go for the lighter colors.
Yeah, so in this instance, you probably wouldn't use this light blue here. So you would definitely want to use like a white. The pink the flamingo probably wouldn't work either. So what we can do is we could define those rules as well, right? So when using dark background, we can use white link. When using light background, you can use, the darker ones. So here are our calls to action. I think this is a really great place to kind of set this up. Cool. Awesome. Am I missing anything? What does everyone think? I think this gives us like a nice little variability of options to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. We have Sarah in the chat asking, is it important what color you use for your lettering when designing your logo?
Oh my gosh, totally. It depends on the font that you are using as well. If you are using a font for your logo,
right.
If it's something that's really like a serifed font, right? If it comes in really, really thin and you use a lighter color, you might not be able to see it as well. So if you use a darker color for fonts that are a little bit thinner, it's going to show up more. If you're not using any type in your logo, definitely. You just have to think about like what colors go well together. If they sit next to each other, is it gonna, sometimes if you have two colors next to each other, your eyes kind of get a little bit buzzy. I always get that when someone wears a t-shirt that has white with black stripes, my eyes just buzz every time I look at them. Do you ever get that?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah. So I definitely think it's super important to consider what colors you're using for your logo, whether it has type or no type. Yeah, you definitely want to think about, what colors you can use. And I think what helps with that too is you can do maybe like a mood board or just like a really quick inspiration board and just throw up different colors onto the screen or even paint them out or draw them out and see what works well together. That's a really great approach. I think it's just kind of having fun and throwing it out there and seeing what sticks.
Absolutely. And Cameron was asking, is there a template or source that references typical assets that should be used in a design system? I just threw in a link in the chat to a UI kit that's available on the Adobe XD website. It's a massive design system kit. And there's a lot of elements in there, but there's probably many more on the web that you can find.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, if you scroll down a little bit, I think it's like the third row possibly. Yeah, third row, first one, that design system kit. It's fantastic.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, build your own custom design system UI kit inspired by semantic UI. This is great.
Yeah.
I'm going to download this and check it out afterwards.
That's a good one. Awesome.
Thanks for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay, so we have our CTAs now. One thing to also think about, I kind of mentioned Pablo earlier in his illustrations, openpeeps.com. For those of you who didn't join earlier and kind of maybe tuned in a little bit later, OpenPeeps is a great open source for illustrations created by Pablo Stanley. He is a part of Latinx Who Design. He's just really well known in the design community, but he created, pay what you feel is fair illustrations. And what's really cool about this is that when you download the file, let's say you have this person here and you would go to the right side of the panel. These they're just, I believe they're just like PNGs. I just dragged them in, so I can't really change them. But if you wanted to change like her facial expression or the type of hair that they have, or whether they have their fingers pointing or not, you can literally change each one of these individual folks. I went through and I customized these characters based on what I felt was the DCC 19 brand. So
Oh, nice.
we have somebody wearing a mask. Yeah. We have like a designer here who's holding a mobile phone. I love Selena, so of course I had to showcase somebody wearing a Selena t-shirt.
Yeah.
But if you go to Design to Combat COVID-19, you can see some of these illustrations. But another plugin that I thought was really cool, and I've used this before as well, is Undraw.
Oh, Undraw's great.
Yeah, so Undraw's really cool. I think it's Katarina. She came up with this, but basically you can choose the kind of color theme that you want for your illustrations. And so let's say we want this pink, and then what you can do is, I believe, just like click or drag it in. Let's see here. Oh, so I just paste it. But I've used Undraw for like presentations before. It just gives you, yeah, there we go. Such a cool variety of illustrations. This is definitely another place to check out. Adobe XD, obviously, it has the plugin, but you can also go to undraw.com, I believe, and just pick what color you want, and you can see all the different types of illustrations. As I mentioned, I can draw. I consider myself like a loose paintbrush artist, but there are just some people out there who are really amazing illustrators, and if they have resources to share, why not, support each other and
absolutely
and showcase their work. But Undraw's a really great option as well.
Yeah, so we did get, I didn't see it originally, but we did get some portfolios in, so I'm going to switch over to I'm going to switch over to us. Let's see if I can do that. I'm going to send you over via the chat thing.
Cool.
Just so we don't reveal any personal details. I'm going to send you over. Let's see how we can do this. Let's see. Where are you? There you are, down there. I'm going to send that one over, and I'm also going to send, copy that one, and paste. There we go. Okay, where's my cursor? There we go. All right.
Awesome.
All right, so we have two portfolios we're going to take a look at. I'm going to be looking at your screen. And the first one is from Zubair, who is in the chat. He's been giving some great feedback as well. So, yeah, go ahead and choose whichever one you want to start with.
Cool. Awesome. First of all, I'm loving this header. I wonder, did you like draw that out yourself? I love like good type. Something that's been really interesting, I've been interested in is sign painting. I've been seeing a lot of YouTube videos on those really old school sign painters, that they have in grocery stores and such. That's what it reminds me of. It's really cool. So I'm loving that.
It's super fun.
Yeah, super fun. I love how clean it is just from the get-go. So you have like this really bright blue, and you have this like salmon color, which is really cool. And then you have these really cool kind of like introductory images. I'm loving that off the bat. And
yeah, the only thing that I would say for, just looking at the overall portfolio is even, the two thumbnails at the very beginning don't give me a lot of information as to what I'm going to be seeing. The text is a little bit small, so it's hard to see as well. But I'm a big fan of nice big thumbnails, very similar to the ones you have at the end, where it kind of gives context. Otherwise, you may lose a lot of clicks if people are just seeing that little bit of text on the colored background.
I agree. I think it's, I do like the colors. It would be nice if maybe, if you wanted to go, because it seems like these are kind of in a theme and these are a little bit in a theme. So maybe if you had them all be in a theme, but you can still showcase like a quick snippet of what it is that you're showing, I think that'd be a good way to utilize both of those.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. I'm going to go ahead and just start from the beginning then. So let's see here. Cool.
This is cool.
Let's see. It says challenge, creation challenge. Okay. The brain fog. Oh.
Yeah, see, even if you just took the thumbnail on the right with the pink background and the brain and pop that as the thumbnail, I mean, that would change everything. Even though I know you're trying to kind of keep a theme with the challenges, but that would make me click on this a lot more than just the blue and the white text.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. I'm like loving this brain fog. I'm curious. I don't know. I know it's a brain. I see that. But are these little clouds? Because it kind of like fog reminds me of a cloud. And I'm wondering if it's like two clouds together. So if you did that on purpose, you're genius, because that's so cool. Right? Doesn't it kind of look like a little bit of a
It does. I kind of see. I also see a
cloud?
face with the two eyes at the
Yeah.
top. I don't know if that's intentional, but it's kind of cute.
Yeah, or like because sometimes if I get brain foggy, I'm like, oh, like I have a brain fog. It looks a little bit like a sad like anime face here. I don't know. It's one of those. What do they call those ink blot tests where you're like, what do you see? Like that's what I'm getting from this. I'm seeing so much from brain fog, but yeah, I think that's really cool. Let's see. I kind of like this side of the logo because the white matches with the white here. I get that fog kind of stands out here, but this black just feels a little bit distant from the rest. I feel like everything else is a little bit of muted colors, and you have the really strong fog. So I don't know if maybe we could bring the black in like to these little eyes or what, but I would do some more exploration with that. But I don't know. I think it's really cool. I think it's really clean, and I agree. I think if this was showcased on the front, it would kind of give me a better idea of what I was going to be viewing.
Yeah, and Zubair is saying the gray area is the symptoms of burnout.
Oh, okay. I see that. Yeah.
So what I would also suggest, and this might be a little bit difficult if you're really paying attention to accessibility, is if that's the case, if the gray area is the symptoms of burnout, I would maybe bring that gray into the word fog. That way they kind of relate, and your mind is basically kind of saying, oh, fog is gray. That's probably also the gray area of the brain in the logo as well.
Yep, that's a great call out. Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and scroll down. So, is this okay? So they're separate. So I think they're different challenges is what I'm getting at, right? So this is brain fog, and then this is music player app. Yeah. So I think sometimes when I'm so deep in the work, I know something so well, and kind of how going back to the beginning of the walkthrough I did this morning, it's just kind of like that one sentence explanation of what it is you're trying to describe. Like for DCC19, it's like we're a volunteer community. I think you can definitely utilize that here. It's just kind of explaining, hey, these are different design challenges, or these are different designs that I've created. Because at first I thought maybe I was going to see the brain fog app, but it looks like it's a music player app. So I think just having some sort of quick sentence to be like, these are different would be kind of helpful for the viewer as well.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay. So music player app. Let's see. Different. Okay. So we'll go here. Awesome. Okay. So I'm loving the colors. I kind of
those gradients are super nice.
Yeah, it's super beautiful. I still have a lot of trouble with gradients, so I applaud you for that. This looks really nice. I think it'd be really cool for like the search if maybe you can consider, like, let's say it wasn't an English speaking person, like you could have like a little search icon so that universally you could know, like, hey, this is a search bar. Sometimes icons go a long way if you didn't want to just type out search or have both. I think that'd be really cool. But this is cool. So I'm guessing you'd be able to swipe left and right, and then you can see all of the artists. It looks like you can play, maybe look at your favorite lists, and then favorite, which is kind of cool. So maybe it's like a new take on Spotify or something. That's what I'm kind of getting here. Yeah.
The two things that stand out to me are I think it's the artist names underneath the actual, songs or albums. They're a little bit difficult to see in terms of accessibility, so I would bump that up as well. What you could possibly do is make both of those text layers white, and then the album name just bolded a little bit, just so you have that separation if that's what you're worried about, the primary and secondary information. And then the other thing is down at the bottom where the music player is, you have to keep in mind, it looks like this is probably designed for an iPhone of some sort because it's got the lovely notch at the top. There is the home indicator right at the bottom of the display, so all that information would have to be bumped up a little bit. I know it looks strange when it's not actually on an iPhone, but it's going to be important if you are passing this on to a developer. You want to make sure that nothing is down. I think it's like 46 pixels or something at the bottom.
Yeah, totally. I think it'd be really cool too, just like if you wanted to build onto this portfolio as well, to show maybe some sort of interaction. Like maybe you have this screen, but on the next screen, if you click show all, like will it bring it out to a list? Will it have some sort of animation? So maybe you could have like another screen next to it showing what any type of interaction could be. It'd be really interesting to see what that flow would look like.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we're going on to the next one. We have basic checkout screen. So I'm guessing I'm wondering if this is like you're just shopping and then you're just checking out, or if maybe you're in a store and it's maybe like a version of Apple Pay or something. I think some sort of descriptor, again, would be kind of helpful to kind of get the mindset of what it is we are in this journey, to kind of let us know like where we could be. I think that would be really helpful, but it is really clean. I love that you kind of had this breadcrumb indicator here, so showing that your previous page was checkout and now you're on payment method. I think that's kind of cool. And then you also have a back button so that if you wanted to go back, I'm wondering if like checkout would swap out over here and then you would have the previous page showcased there. And then it looks like you can choose, this is kind of neat, like what card you want to use.
Yep.
But I'm wondering if you already have the card on file, if you already have to type it in, or is this already typed in? So that might be something to consider too, is, you know, if you already have this card on file, do you necessarily have to enter in the information again? Is it already saved? Like, what is that experience like?
That's a good point. Yeah, is that for adding in new payment details, or, you know, what's the deal with that? In terms of design, the only two things I would point out, similar to the last one, you know, bump that checkout button up a little bit, because again, there's a home indicator at the bottom, and you know, I'm a stickler for shadows, so that shadow underneath the MasterCard at the top. Two things you can do with that. Either one, get rid of it, because the card has a lot of contrast with the white background, and or number two, push it out even more and blur it a little bit more, just so it looks kind of like there's a little bit of depth in there. You know, right now it's just there. It's not really doing much to help the design. So either get rid of it or really emphasize it quite a bit, but don't emphasize it too much. You don't want to bump up the opacity so it's an eyesore, but just kind of bring it out so there's some nice depth to it.
Yeah, I think that's a really great call out. But this is cool. I'd be interested to see what the rest of this process looks like.
Yeah. Let's take a look at one more, then we'll move on to the next portfolio.
Cool. Okay, so news blog redesign. Cool. So it looks like it's from News. And if it's a redesign, I'm wondering, is this like an actual website? I'd be really curious to see what it looks like in comparison to this.
Yeah.
But we have, okay, News, COVID-19 update, what we need to know this week. Awesome. So the one thing I would want to call out is, I think this is desktop, but I'd be really interested to know like what this would look like on a mobile device, or is this like a tablet on landscape? I think thinking about your screen size and showing what content you're showing is something that's really important. So if it were to be on mobile, would you show this section first, or then like where would this information go? So there's some things to consider. But from a design perspective, something that I think is really important to call out is, you know, home, lifestyle, people, health. We could probably bump up that type a little bit more. It's a little bit hard to read right now. So I'd like to see that like really prominent, because, you know, we want to think about being able to see it really quickly. If you want to go to like, I really want to know like what the latest gossip is, like in the celebrity world, like, I don't know, maybe that'd be under lifestyle, but you want to be able to see it really quickly and kind of get that. I like how you have like Monday, March 30th up here. I think that's kind of cool, just to like remind you like, hey, this is the news of the day. That's really fun. That'd be kind of cool, but maybe showcasing it in a different way would be interesting too. I think there's a lot of options you could play around with that.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll add is just a minor point probably, but the outline social media icons on the left and at the very top, I'm not sure if they're working too much. I would probably go for a solid icon, and maybe for the ones that have not been liked or favorited, maybe you can just bump down the opacity a touch. I think the outlines, they make them a little bit muddy and hard to read, especially when you shrink them down at the very top. Like looking at that tiny little Facebook icon, I don't really know it's a Facebook icon unless I'm really squinting at it. So maybe just change to solid icons, and it might look a little bit better.
Yeah, totally. But this is cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
Good job, Zubair.
Sweet. Thanks for sharing with us. Okay, and then we had one more, I believe. Here we go.
Yep.
Cool. I'm loving
Nice.
this. Okay. So UI, UX design, graphic design, constantly learning new things every day. I've learned like 5 new things today, so I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Awesome. This is really cool. I'm loving this portfolio thus far.
Yep.
You have really cool kind of like header up here. I love the contrast of like the really bright screens on the dark background. That really showcases your header really nicely. And oh my gosh, so cool. You have a Spotify mobile redesign. I love Spotify. So I'm really excited to look at this one.
Yeah, and I love the thumbnails. I love that they showcase exactly what you're going to be looking at when you dive in here.
Yeah, totally. That's a great call out. So I was like, oh, Spotify, like obviously it says it right there, but it kind of said like mobile app redesign. And then right here, yeah, you can obviously like, it's a dashboard. And I don't know what fruitism is, but it looks delicious. And I definitely want to click on that. It's almost getting lunchtime. So I'm like kind of snacky right now. But yeah, I think you do a really good job of showcasing what it is. I like that you actually call out mobile app redesign here. So if you wanted to add that in your other icons as well, I think that'd be really cool. But let's take a look at your Spotify. Ooh, okay.
Yeah, right off the bat, I love that there's a nice big header at the top. You can also see exactly what the challenge is, which I think is so important if someone wants to, continue and figure out what's going on in here.
Yeah. Make Spotify more musical, enhancing the user experience of Spotify mobile application. This is so cool. The challenge. Spotify is one of the more popular streaming music platforms. Yep. Very cool. I love this icon. And it's totally like with the Spotify green.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, problems. Okay. Yes, this is something I love. As like a UX designer, I love seeing people lay out the problems right at the beginning, because when you build a product or you're designing something, you want to make sure, humans are going to use it. Everything you touch, whether it be a chair to the t-shirt on your back, somebody thought about it, somebody had to design it. So whenever you're thinking about a product or a web page, you really have to think about who it is you're designing it for and what problem you're trying to solve. Mm-hmm. Or just kind of thinking from that frame is, I think, a really good starting point. So let's see here. Problems. After collecting data through interviews, online surveys, and observations, I identified some basic element features of the app to improve upon. Okay, so what's wrong? The core navigation of the app, homepage, sub-page layouts. Okay. Solutions. Introducing the playlist tab in the navigation bar. Great. So I'm sure you're somebody who uses the app quite frequently. So you've been able to kind of come across these roadblocks. You're like, oh, this is kind of annoying. So you're encapsulating that here and you're kind of making suggestions. I love that. You're taking the initiative to really think through how you can update and be iterative with this product. As I mentioned, design is never done. So
that's true.
My role. This is awesome. I love how the beginning of the portfolio, you're kind of winding down, and it's like a journey. It's like I'm reading through the story of what it is that you're showing us. This is great. The concept of this redesign, play the role of UX designer. Awesome. So you did user research, sketching, final design. That's great. Design process, research, observations, and user research. So one thing, maybe you highlight it later. Oh, here we go. So user research. Yeah, sorry, I'm just really excited. I'm like scrolling through everything. Okay, so you have the design process here, which I love to see how people think with their design process, what they're kind of working through. So you labeled the problem, you're kind of encapsulating the solution, and now you're talking about the research, how you got the data, how the data kind of drove your decisions to make these wireframes, which is great. Then you go into the hi-fi design and you're testing and reviewing. That's awesome. One thing I always say is, as soon as you do a product, as soon as you come up with a design, just put it in front of somebody and get feedback, because that feedback is just going to help you improve and really fix those minor things that you might have not saw. So if you are ever just like curious, go to a friend, go to somebody who might be a good candidate for using this product and just say, hey, can you look at this for a second? Just you getting user feedback like that is crucial. It's totally going to help you out.
Yeah, because as you're designing, you get in such a bubble, and like everything you design from that point on is going to be fantastic in your brain. And it's really hard to take yourself out of that bubble and really figure out if this is the right user journey for this particular experience. And then it gets to a point where you've kind of dug yourself in such a hole it's going to be so difficult to get out of because you'll have to redesign the entire experience once you get it into a user's hands. So like Rachel said, get it in the hands of someone as early as possible. Doesn't have to be flashy, doesn't have to be pretty, just very bare bones mock-up, and then make sure the experience is there, and then move on.
Yeah, and Howard makes a really great point. I think I know I get excited and I want to make everything really beautiful and like wrapped in a bow and send it out to people. But then if you get the feedback that it's not working, you have to go back from scratch. So it's really important, even if you have some lo-fi designs or just quick sketches, to get just a quick pulse check so that you're saving that time and energy in the beginning, so that when you do get to the final product, you already have those kinks kind of laid out.
Yeah, and we do have about 30 seconds left.
Okay.
Let's just blast through this.
Yeah, so we have the roadmap. That's great. Yeah, I'm loving this wireframes.
Look at that. There you go. Very low fidelity wireframes. Nice.
Yeah, so you're already in the right spot. You're kind of starting quick and dirty, just really getting, those lo-fi wireframes out there. Design elements. Oh, I love that translucent element. So you're introducing something that maybe isn't existing right now. You're leaving a lot of the typography. You have your color palette. This is great. Oh, this is so cool. Oh, look at that.
That's wonderful.
That's so fun. Yeah, I'm loving how you're kind of playing around with their UI elements in a way that they haven't used so far. You still have the personalization. You have the player. Yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah, great job. We can just scroll through this forever. Maybe I'll probably do that.
I know.
After the stream is done. But we do have to jet for J number 1. I'm going to switch over back to us. Rachel, if you want to kind of very quickly do a quick summary of what you've done today and what you're going to be tackling tomorrow before we head off.
Yeah, sorry, I accidentally stopped sharing my screen because went a little bit dark. But
it's on our faces anyway.
Oh, okay, great. Hi. Okay, so what we covered today was we went through our style guide for design to combat COVID-19. We defined who we are. We created our brand voice. We created logos, the types, which is great. What we're going to be focusing on tomorrow is just finishing out the style guide. We still have some icons we want to create. I really want to flesh out the rest of that logo. And then what we're going to do is build out a resources page for the website. So I want to showcase various resources that we have, and then we'll kind of build through that together.
All right. Sounds good. We'll see everyone tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.